That technology is the science of nutrigenomics, and that involves plant-based technology that actually changes the gene expression at a fundamental level to allow all animals to reduce dramatically their levels of something called oxidative stress, which is free radical damage in common parlance, and allows animals and humans to live a higher quality of life and perhaps a longer health span. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Seward. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Dr. Gloria. Thank you, Gloria. It's wonderful to be here. I'm actually humbled and really feel blessed to be able to speak to you and your team. I hope they all understand, and I'm sure they do, far more than I do, because they're being mentored by you and know you, that you and Jennings are true examples, the best examples that I can imagine for servant leadership. You guys care so much about people and helping people. It's just amazing. So I'm just really humbled to be here and happy to talk to your folk and your friends. Gloria mentioned that I came across this. Well, actually, my wife Rebecca, whom, by the way, my wife Rebecca and I celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary this year, end of this year. We were on an airplane to San Antonio to go to a family wedding. And on that airplane, a young woman sat down next to us. The plane was full. Southwest Airlines headed to San Antonio, Texas. I was sitting next to the window. My wife was sitting in the center seat because the airplane was full, and this woman sat down next to Becky. And Becky is an extrovert, and this woman happened to be an extrovert also. Me, not so much. But anyway, long story short, they were best of friends by the time we took off, knew all about their families, etc. And we're having a big time. And I was reading the Wall Street Journal or something. And about 30 minutes into the flight, the woman pulls out her iPad and starts showing a video. And that video, of course, was the ABC Primetime Investigative Report with Dr. McCord talking about oxidative stress and Protandim, an amazing invention. I was intrigued, and because of that introduction, when I got back, after doing some due diligence, I found this was the real deal. And to me, it was like lightning striking twice, because I felt that when I left practice from Sandpoint, that beautiful place, and went to New Jersey, not so beautiful, I did so because I was presented with an opportunity at what I could see was going to be something that would change the way we view the health of our animals and how we deal with the health of our animals. And I thought that this was going to be an opportunity for me to play a small role in that story. And that did come about. I played a small role in that story and really feel blessed to have been able to do that. So here I am sitting on the airplane, and then I get home and I read about this information. I look at all the factors and I said, wow, this is another opportunity to be involved with something that's going to change the way we look at health. And in this case, human health. But I also discovered there was a dog product. So I said, wow, also animal health. So we were in, and then we took off from there. What I found when I did my due diligence, though, is something I'd like to share with you guys, because it'll give you a perspective of what we have in our animal health products, that is our dog product, Protandim. What I found is that oxidative stress was the hot button in medical science. And when I looked at it at that time, there were thousands and thousands of papers on PubMed.gov, that is the National Institute of Health's library for peer-reviewed science. And there was even papers on the branded product Protandim. And I found that to be an amazing thing, because how often do you see supplements that actually have peer-reviewed scientific papers done by third parties on the branded product, the product you actually buy and use? You don't. That's simple. It's pretty much doesn't happen. And I discovered that there was also a study done in dogs with the branded product, now called Protandim. And in that dog study, they found the same thing that they had been finding in humans, that this 5 herbal combination ingredients in a product given to humans or dogs lowered oxidative stress. And it did so by activating a series of enzymes through a chain called NRF2 or NRF2 activation.
Yeah, I haven't taken one yet.
May I ask, excuse me, Jonathan, you've just joined us. Would you mind muting, please? Little background noise. Jonathan Skaggs. There we go. Thank you very much. All right, continue on, Dr. Seward.
So anyway, the amazing thing about that is that when I got to the reading about it, I realized one thing, is that the systems in animals at the cellular level that we were activating are exactly the same systems that are being activated in humans. That is NRF2 activation, which affects gene expression of the so-called survival genes that Gloria was talking about. And those survival genes result in the expression of a series of enzymes and some other factors that lower oxidative stress. And the reason oxidative stress is so important, as most of you know, it's like rusting from the inside out. It's like rusting inside of your cells. It damages a lot of the cellular machinery, including our genetic potential. So it's important to try to keep that under control. And the problem is that oxidative stress gets worse with age. And in the literature, I found that oxidative stress was involved in practically all of the major diseases that we can think of, especially those that are related to aging. And I found that the same was being found out in animals, and a lot of literature in animals. And I looked recently, and I found that there's now something like 250,000, 260,000 papers on oxidative stress on PubMed.gov. And I just want to mention, some of you may not be aware of this, but there is another search engine, and it's called Google Scholar. And Google Scholar, not Google, Google's where you go to find out what your crazy uncle thinks. Google Scholar is a technical search engine, and it has a lot of the literature, and particularly a lot of the animal health literature is found on Google Scholar and not on PubMed.gov. So I looked on there recently, and I found the following things I thought you'd find interesting. Oxidative stress, like I said, there's about 260,000 sites now on PubMed.gov. There's 3 million sites on Google Scholar. There's about human clinical studies on oxidative stress. There's about 6,000. There's a total of 108,000, 110,000 sites on humans alone. But there's 130 citations on PubMed.gov, which is aimed mainly at human health. There's 130,000 sites on animals. So what I think that will tell you is that oxidative stress and the research on oxidative stress applies to animals the same as it applies to humans. That the model systems that are used are frequently in the studies that people, when they're studying the causes of different problems in humans, are done in animals and are done in cellular systems that are as applicable to animals as they are to humans. So there's this vast literature that supports the fact that at the cellular level, the mechanism is exactly the same, and our ability to lower oxidative stress through the NRF2 pathway is exactly the same. So anyway, so one other thing that happened when I was first looking at this, when we went to San Antonio, we went reluctantly, but it was a family wedding. We went reluctantly because our dog, Sheila, was at that time of her life, she was older and starting to see some serious problems with aging. And in fact, she was in such bad shape that we were having to take her out to take care of business, carry her out, use a sling to hold her up, etc. And the rest of the time she was just laying around. She'd lost a lot of her hair coat. She just wasn't doing well. So we were at that time where you have to make that difficult decision. And so we didn't make it before we left. We left her with a good friend, also a veterinarian that loved her and took care of her while we were on the trip. And when we got back, I said, wow, we've got something I want to try before we have to make that decision. Let's put her on Pet Tandem. And we did. And it was just an amazing, amazing thing. Within weeks, her hair coat started to improve. She started gaining mobility back. Instead of being unable to move virtually, she started getting her mobility back. And within a couple of months, she was out doing her normal things. Her mobility had changed back to what she had 10 years before. And one night I had her out, heading out to the horses to feed them, had the barnyard lights on. She was out checking out all the rabbit holes and stuff on the way to the barn. And she gotten out of my vision, and all of a sudden I see some movement out of the corner of my eye coming across, and it was a fox, and Sheila was in hot pursuit. And I'm telling you, also, Sheila had the best hair coat after that we had seen in her entire life. So it was truly amazing. We got another year and a half of quality life with her before she was passed. And how good is that? How important is that? I mean, just the joy that she brought to us, and the joy it brought to me, knowing that I could help her. So we were just all the way in on how important this product. Pet Tandem, has the same ingredients as Pro Tandem, but has additional ingredients. It has a source of omega-3 fatty acids, human grade fish oil, and it has avian sternum cartilage as a source for joint health of glucosamine, chondroitin, and hyaluronic acid. And this source, this avian sternum cartilage, is the most bioavailable source there is known. So small amounts, very effective. And I think that formulation for dogs is superior to the one for humans, as far as being able to see a response and being able to see how well it does in the dogs. And I've seen a similar story. I've had people tell me the same things about their dog that had these serious aging conditions that put on Pet Tandem, had remarkable results. So it's just an amazing product. I just can't tell you how much I think about it. Horses, we don't have a horse product. I think most of you know that, but you probably also realize that, again, it's the same biological system that we're trying to affect at the cellular level to reduce oxidative stress. And what we have seen, because a large number of people have tried the human product, Pro Tandem, in their horses, what we have seen is the same results that you would expect from lowering oxidative stress in an animal. And those are the general improvements in health and well-being, mobility, and functioning. So those things that you normally see. You horse people out there, one time we had 17, we're down to 2 now, thank goodness. But no, we enjoyed them when we had more, but at my age, I don't need to shovel that much poop. But anyway, what you know is that horses are inflammatory machines. Any injury and inflammation just goes crazy. There's a good reason for that, but there's also a side effect that they have a lot of problems dealing with that inflammation. And I can tell you that reducing oxidative stress and the overall chain of NRF2 activation on gene expression also reduces inflammation. So it's an amazing thing. One question people normally ask with horses is, what's the dose? Dr. McCord felt, because of the biology and the volume of distribution, that you wouldn't give as many as you would think to a horse, that 1 or 2 for routine health benefit, and controlling oxidative stress was good. I always tell people that if they're trying to affect a specific thing, if they're trying to see a result that they want to see, they may have to go higher. And there's people I've known that have gone up to 6, and even 6 more than once a day for short periods of time to affect something they were trying to have a rapid influence on. But my own horse, we have a mare that we actually had sold to some people. They used it as a family riding horse, and then used her as a brood mare for a few years, and then they were having to get rid of her. And so we took her back. We always told people when we sold horses that if they ever had to get rid of them before they took them to auction and before they were sent down on the one-way trip to Mexico or something, we wanted them back. So we took her back, and she's been doing fine, but she's a little flaky. She's a little anxious, and to the point where she gets a little food anxious when you're around her on the ground. So it makes me a little nervous. And so you have to watch her all the time. She's not trying to hurt you. She's just really anxious. So we put her on Protandim and had a noticeable effect on that anxiety, made her a lot more comfortable, and made us a lot more comfortable being around her in tight circumstances. So that issue of horses and the amount you have to give them is what I call empirical dosing. So there's lots of ways to go about it, but if you're just wanting to give your horse the benefit of health benefit, wellness benefit, then I'd say 1 or 2 is fine. Now, another story here. Hap, where are you, buddy? Hap, hey, bud. Come on. So about 1.5 years ago, our dog that we have now, Hap, got attacked by a neighbor's pit bull. Came over onto our property and attacked our Chiweenie, Hap. He's a little bashful.
Farm dog.
So Hap got attacked by this pit bull, and this pit bull, I happened to be there, not too far away. So I was hollering at him and running after him and got it broken up. And I saw, as soon as Hap broke free from the pit bull, run away, and I could see that he was seriously injured. And so Hap, he was definitely a pet tandem dog. And I think you might be able to see on his leg here. I don't know if you can see it or not. Whoops, oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Anyway, you might have saw the scar. He had a scar all the way down his leg, where his leg had been ripped open. He'd been punctured on the abdomen. And so it was far beyond anything I could take care of. So we were fortunate to be able to take him into the CSU Veterinary Hospital. But the bottom line is amazing recovery. He's essentially back to full activity, rapid recovery. And that's another thing about this technology, this NRF2 activation, is in athletes such as dogs and horses. I consider dogs and horses to be natural athletes. No matter what you're doing with them, they are athletes. They're built to run. Their whole idea of survival is based on the ability to run. So they're as athletes, I think there's a tremendous benefit to having them on pet tandem or pro tandem in the case of horses, and to be able to deal with injuries and issues that you might be experiencing when they are active. So that's pretty much what I've got to give you today. I'm sorry I had to cut it a little short. I might be able to take a question or two if you have something, Gloria.
Is there anybody who has a question for Dr. Seward? I think he's been so generous with his time. And I said, oh, we're excited. We have so many horse and animal lovers here. And he said, well, maybe we could get him a second time to go into more detail about the questions. So I think we'll just continue on. We'll thank you and Rebecca, and we'll have you back again with your permission. This
Great.
was wonderful.
Enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Take care. We'll see you soon, I hope.
Oh, you bet. You bet. Thanks again. Enjoyed being with you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.